Yay! Oh.
Okay. I have an empire behind me. It's kind of a little insane. Is it too much? Like, should I go to a background that's neutral?
No, I like it. I
Okay.
have a neutral background just because I've created a nook. I could easily adjust, however. I like this spot.
Okay, just in case. Okay.
I want to get
So,
yeah, there we
so
go.
what I wanted to go into, what I really want to go into, I actually really want to riff today.
Yes.
Last time you got to riff, this time I wanted to. It was like last time
Yes.
you were dom and I was submissive. Now you're going to be submissive and I'm going to dom.
I am open to what would love to come, and I'm ready to hear. I'm ready to hear all the transmissions and the omniversal.
No, I just kind of wanted to do like a summary of what we were like. I actually wanted to do it really grounded today. Like I feel like this is what wants to come through. Okay, hi and welcome to Infinity Soiree. We're gonna get really grounded and practical. So, okay. I think the biggest question, that I've been asking as I'm like really in the field, like who gets attracted to this work and who's like attracted but like not ready, right? And in the conversation around that, right, about infinity and actually being able to not just conceptually, but have your body be a vessel of like universal life force and wanting to work at the level of universal life force and being turned on by it. I think there's a few things that like, I think that we don't talk about that I don't want us to like go deep into, but like you and I are both masters in our craft. Like we don't lead with like, these are the results that we get for people and we've made this much money and we've got this much accolades and we both have them. I think that like the reason, I mean, you may have your reason. The reason why I don't is because it's not what drives me anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. When I do it, there was a time when I did do it. Mostly as an example of what's possible, but my being isn't in accord with that at this time. Not to say that it won't be ever, but it doesn't feel in accord, so I don't do it because I don't think that it is essential. Because, well, one, we both have a deep inherent knowing, and two, because we know that what people are really after and what they're really sinking, what they're really
seeking to sink into, right?
yes, is synchrony with their own being, like emergent synchrony on a moment-to-moment basis. And it's so pristine and so creative and dynamic, and you're just turned on all the time. And so to be connected to that sovereign flow of activated life force, electric life force, I think is what ultimately everybody is seeking, and to live that through in whatever container they're in, with whomever they're with, whatever they're doing, whatever they're creating, whatever is unfolding through them, emerging through them in the moment. And so getting to that quintessential core, I feel, is where the real value is.
Absolutely. And like if I look through phases of like people's levels of evolution, right? You're wanting to get to freedom. You're wanting to get to your unlimited expression of self, right? So a lot of people, like I feel from my experience, the only reason why you want money is because money allows you the experience of the freedom and liberation to do whatever you want, wherever you want, whenever you want, which I say this always. That's just, to me, it's just releasing any barrier to that inevitable experience, right?
Yes.
And I feel like the people in the beginning of either businesses or whatever, you're just trying to get off that pressure point. You're trying to get over that. So your emphasis is on the result of allowing yourself to get there. And you and I have both in our businesses multiple times over gotten there, right? So after that, you're driven by something else afterwards, right? And you begin to get momentum. You actually understand once you get over like the entropy to syntropy and the momentum starts happening of life force that moves through you, then it starts learning how to be able to be a conduit of that life force in the most exquisite way possible, and allow your nervous system to be able to refine and direct and sculpt with art that energy, right? Because most people, like when you're talking about, I want to get to this outcome, I'm like, well, actually, like if the more you surrender and allow and learn how to move energy and life force and direction and intelligence, you're going to produce that result. But you've got to get past the level of trying to run up the hill, right? And actually give yourself the space for the waters to move through you. And I think that's what we're always talking about, right?
I feel like that's ultimately probably what every liberation artist does. It's just, well, we talked about this open source, just being an open source. And when we do that, we allow that free energy to course through, and it naturally harmonizes all of our energetic systems. So that light intelligence and that, you know, it's the super symmetrical synthesis of all elements in our being, it automatically transforms all of the other coding that isn't in its most pure, pristine state of cosmic law and cosmic design. So it's a natural and automatic occurrence. And that's actually some of the gift of the studies that they've done on flow. And there's a professor at Stanford University who said he believes that flow is responsible for most cases of spontaneous healing, which is, you know, again, like what Yeshua did, because he was just so connected to who and what he was, and he allowed for that transmission to flow through him. He was a fluid prophet, fluid prophetess, just like letting all of that come through. And that happens automatically when we know how to open to it and stay in sync with it. So the actual result is, well, so one, I think what people are after is free energy. So to actually attain the money, to actually get the money, one must first align to free energy flow in their system. So it's becoming a vessel of emancipation, a vessel of, and once that happens, then the money actually starts to flow on a continuum, and it's going, and it's coming in, and we're masterfully directing and allowing ourselves to receive it from our own toroidal flow. So being at the diamond, being the diamond of the self at the center of our omniverse, we get to expand out into the totality of our omniverse. And then in that flow, stardust sorcery, we direct that energetic.
Stop, you say these things, I have like mini orgasms.
Well, it's euphoric expansion is really
exactly.
And to experience that in all moments, and that is that rush of free energy flowing through our system. It's like a breath of cool air, you know, being on the beach and just having the winds of the oceanic tide rolling through our being and our body in all moments, and to feel that liberation and to know that we are the prime creator, and to just feel the ecstasy of what we are and to live that through in each moment. And when we're in that supersymmetry, everything, you know, it's so like money is an element of that. And I love money. It allows us to create these gorgeous, luxuriant experiences for ourselves and the people that we love, and to facilitate these events. And it's a resource. It's a byproduct of our connection to our free energy flow. And absolutely. Yeah, it allows for so much creative expansion and expression. And it's necessary for us to truly thrive and to nourish ourselves in the way that we need to nourish ourselves as living beings.
It's the gratitude exchange. It's just the gratitude exchange of I always used to, I don't know if I still believe this, but I used to always say it, so I'll say it. I always felt like it was like a horizontal exchange of a vertical transmission. So it's like the vertical transmission, like the infinite transmission is becoming finite, and the horizontal transmission is the money, which is in the relative field. You know what I mean? In the sense of what, even though we talked about this before, money doesn't really even exist for the most part unless you're using dollars, you know. But it's the relational dynamic of a physicalization of the infinite, right?
And the beauty of the horizontal, I mean, I do everything from the space of the horizontal, because even in vertical, I do everything from the space of the vertical, because then everything in the horizontal carries the code of the vertical
recalibrated.
yeah. So it's not even, there's not operation at that level anymore, which is what creates all the very fascinating to me dynamics that people get in around money, because I'm like, what if money is the same as air? What if money is the same as food? What if it is the same as nourishment? What if it's the same as your lover? What if it's the same as you? And so it's just reestablishing our relationship with it as an expression of that vertical alignment. And all things are an expression of that. And money is similar. It's in that same container.
And I think part of the reason why we love each other, and part of the reason why we created this, and part of the reason why we created all the things, like all the opportunities for the immersions with us, is like we are two very coherent pillars, and we create, and a field comes through us and emerges through us of super symmetry, of whatever other language of divine perfection comes through your words. That is a function of precision in listening and direction, right? And so what we're both a master in is the stillness of dynamism, right? The being in the stillness and watching the super organization of the electromagnetism around you as you are in coherent alignment with your own divine design. And that sounds so super simple to people. It sounds over super simple, and therein lies the genius of your answer. And so it's like, I was telling this to you, and I mean, you know, it's like we still both like have moments where we go into our madness versus our genius, right? And I was telling you this, and I have this too, and it's like, and it's such a, and I said this to you today, so I was like, back yourself away from the insane asylum. When you find yourself falling out of that center point of stillness, going into the chaos. Now, there's a difference between dynamism and chaos. Chaos is really, it's when you're trying to like micromanage the reorganization that's reorganizing to your emanation, right?
That's brilliant. Yes. Yes.
And that's the craziness, right? So it's like, I mean, even in the world today, no matter what happens, this will always be happening. There will always be an insane asylum happening outside of you. Just don't participate. Be your own divine emanation, reflection, and just participate with the magnetic and learn how to read, feel, sense the magnetic particles that are coming to you, that are being attracted, and what's being repelled. That's all you have to learn how to sense, feel, read, be. And that's how creation starts happening in a very simplistic way. And so, you know, this is when we just use the body electric as the tool that you are versus any tools beyond it, right? We are equipped as an electromagnetic being with charged particles, ions, neutrons, negative space, whatever. If we start being able to utilize and craft that technology and understand how that technology works as ourselves, we don't have to manipulate anything, and we understand the divine design of it all. And so like the reason, like, and you and I both get off on this, like there's a very luxuriant, exuberant, orgasmic space of like when you just don't fuck with it and you just let it run itself through you. It's like it's everything you've been wanting anyway. So I just keep people like, chill out, just like give it space enough to become you. It's like you are the one you've been looking for, but there's an even deeper that it's like you're the one you've been seeking, but it's like you're seeking for the feeling of your own divinity in form within yourself coursing through you is what you're really wanting. And then the experience and the mastery of how to wield that into form and the formless. Okay.
Yes, 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 yes. Because that's the magic. And that's, I think, that the part that can be, so it's becoming transparent, first of all, in the physical body. So becoming transparent so that we don't, no energy stick in our system, like nothing comes in and it's just the pure, pristine diamond of the self. And it's deeply, richly, integrally embodied as we move through our moments. But as we do that, everything around us must adapt to our embodiment. And so there's an art of letting go and continuously letting go and being in the fluid orbital expansion expansion of our own evolution and continuously um where the heck was I going with that?
I
Like
don't know,
we,
it's almost like you go to nothing. But like when you talk about it, because I can see as you're talking about,
oh,
right,
I
it's
got
being
it.
the center of the toroidal field and go into the infinity right now. That's what I felt you going into.
Yes, and the magic in that is actually letting, as you said, the energy run and course itself through our system. That is what the actual magic is. So it can be challenging for people whose minds are attached to systems and structures and strategies, which we employ, especially because we have enterprises and that is required of us. But it's so, um, it comes from a completely different space of pure inspiration and pure energetic natural, like, and it's a natural compelling, it's almost like the force is pushing us, it is moving through us, that we're not forcing or pushing anything at all, just is allowed and arises naturally. It's like that infinity loop where we allow it in and it expresses and so on and so forth. However,
Mm.
the ultimate sovereignty and the ultimate liberation is in the gnosis that all that is required to manifest anything is the coursing of that energetic through our body and through our system. And in that, what I have discovered in my own experience is I decide what I want, and then I continuously course the energetic of that through my system, through my body. So it's, again, the same thing, just, and then that energy is purely prolific intelligence. So if we're cycling it through our system and it's all in agreement and accord with pure prolific intelligence, and that's all we're going to manifest throughout all dimensions of our life. And the liberation is that it's not contingent upon anything external whatsoever. The thing will show up to us, and then, like you said, it's an exchange of appreciation. It's a constant exchange of appreciation, but then it's just being an open, available, it's open transmission. It's being an open, available transmitter for whatever arises and whatever shows up and meeting our creation.
Absolutely. And then talking about the fact like we have enterprises. So you can share how your experience of it is. Like, especially when people come with me around business stuff, I find no matter what, you have to work on opening the body first, because each person's energetic overflow and the intelligence that runs through them and how it runs through them and how it most, runs through them efficiently is like, yes, there's like a structure in a way that business generally can run. And there are certain structures that are pretty well known, but you have to listen to the divine design of a business as well, because there are infinite ways that it can be organized, right? At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, like, here's business. This is this price. This is this person pays for this, money goes in. That's all that happens in a business. And then you have all the systems and structures that makes that efficient, right? With the tools and technology we have, whether that's websites, payment processors, social media tools, SEO, all that type of stuff that's like all out there, right? That becomes the algorithm things. However, here's the thing I always say, and this is like, it is such a crass, I always use sexual analogies. It's like, if you try, and I've said this before, it's like, if you look at that as like a penis, right? And that's the structure, the male structure. And you try to stick a vagina in a penis without listening and opening. I know you laugh into the thing because you're like, this is so not my my way that my energy works. But it's like, it's just the same way as like, remove yourself from the chaos. Like, you've got to open, let yourself receive, let the intelligence flow through you, learn how to read the intelligence that comes through you. And then, like, just like painting a picture, explore the ways in which the intelligence can come through most geniusly, right? Because you want to create the structure in which it's the most easiest for that intelligence to reach its intended outcome and move through, right? And so it's like, so many people, I feel like they're doing it. It's not wrong, it's not bad, but in the way that we operate, it seems like it's congested, it's backwards. It's like putting the structure here and then trying to fit the divine intelligence inside of it versus letting the overflow happen first and then listening to what's a match, right? I always use lovemaking as a metaphor. It's like, yeah, you can have all these tools and techniques and whatever, but in the end of the day, you got to like listen to where your body is wanting, right? You can't overlay something on top of your natural way of doing things. And so many people, come into business. And, sometimes it's not until like year 3 or 5 that people actually have gotten to the level of consciousness that you've made enough money, that you have enough system and structures, that you've built your team, that you've gotten to the level of freedom in your in your awareness of like, oh, I actually am moving in this level of momentum. Oh my gosh. These system and structures all need to be reoriented because they're no longer supporting the free flow of energy. Sometimes it takes people 3 to 5 years to even see this because to get to the other side of that mountain of liberation, right? They utilize the copy and paste method, right? Because they didn't trust their own divine intelligence to do it that way first.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much juice in that. That's actually, when I've designed everything that I've designed, I literally, I was initiated through the Magdalene codes, like the real, real Tantra, true Tantra. And I literally just opened myself wide and I was like, what do you want to bring through me? I am available. I am open. Show me the design. Give me the logos. Let me know how you want this to come into form. And I had to be in that container, in that space, to birth what I've birthed now for 6 months, to saturate and absorb the fullness of light codes and cosmic design that actually wanted to come through me and transmit. And I only put pieces out when they were fully synchronized in my being. And I also know what it's like to be on the other side of that spectrum, where it's like you're so eager to get going and you want to get going and you want to have the thing and the system and you want everything to be running effectively and efficiently and you want to liberate yourself. So you just go, which is great. I think that movement is definitely like one of the prime catalysts for, all of our expansion. However, if we're moving from a place of
which direction are you running?
Right. And what are you synchronized to? Are you synchronized
Exactly.
to? Because when you're speaking, what came through was that many people in their service, whether they're successful or not, are operating from actual scarcity. And so the only way for a business or an enterprise to truly be sustainable in a way that is rich and fulfilling and life-giving for every single being that it touches, is for it to operate off of cosmic design. Is the only way. So that's where, I straight away, I was like, how do we do this? And I was willing to also let go of all of, you and I both spent exorbitant amounts of money.
Right, on things that we could never utilize.
Right.
Things in some regards we learned what doesn't work because we tried, but it's just like it wouldn't match. It's like trying to put synthetic on top of organic. Not to say that is not valuable to something and someone, because there are some people right? That need I always utilize this metaphor. You know, some people need, you know, when you go bowling, they need those little things that like keep them between the lines, those little bumpers. You know,
Yeah.
some people in their level of evolution, and this is not about hierarchy, that's valuable. Like they need their training wheels. That provides them with the training wheels. However, what we're speaking to and like what we're so committed to, because we know what's happening right now in this now moment and what's being invited to in this now eternal moment for a lot of people, right? Like that's what we're calling in and we're responding to, right? That's what life force is coming through and responding to us, right? You know, cosmic came through for me in 2014, 2015. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm finally now I mean, I got it. I got cosmic at its absolute.
Yeah.
But did I get it at its being able to walk around every day, being able to be like cosmic at the grocery store? No. That took like another, you know, many months. I would say almost like, you know, 2 years in the underworld and many months resurrecting myself. But, you know, that's a different journey that some people, that is so non-linear, that is so outside of time and space, that so exists in the realm of the eternal, that, you know, that's sometimes why I think some people are like scared, I don't know, to do this journey. But the thing is like the people that are called to it, it's like the only thing that will bring you sanity, actually, because what you're running towards is yourself.
And it can't, like, for me, in my experience, I couldn't do it any other way, which
No, it's like eating like plastic Ritz crackers and pretending that it's like manna from heaven. It's like, no, Ritz crackers. It's shitty. You know, and your body will know. And this is where I still wonder. I wonder. I don't know the answer. I'm like, what is it about some people's bodies that like they can tolerate that? And I don't mean tolerate like it's a bad thing. Like I don't have judgment around it. But like, you know, you and I like go into systems and we read things and we read the fields, and it's really interesting. It's like we both feel that eventually over time, though time doesn't really exist, but I mean over the choice point, there will always be the return to self.
always.
It always will happen. And it's so interesting about the moments where that threshold, right, of not being able to either tolerate getting a feedback loop of like, ooh, this doesn't feel good, or it breaks open of like that. I'm just listening into curiosity about those moments of like when people begin to actually say, okay, yes, I am so a yes to play in this realm. Like I am ready to drop all synthetics. Like let's just fucking play as gods. And that's what our invitation is to. And so, you know, the marketing person in me is like, I always like wonder, like I sit in that wonder moment of like, you know, there's a part of somebody that always gets like, if you're endogenously drawn to this, you've always been drawn to this, right? So you'll find us because like attracts like, and this is part of you, and you've been in the surrender journey to your own divinity the whole journey, right? And then there's like a part of it where it's like, you know, people have the quote unquote awakening, and then I'm just always listening, because you and I listen so well. I'm like listening, I'm like, where's that moment? Where does it happen in the body? Turns, like I've been really playing what turns, like what clock of like God turns where they're like
It's in the DNA. It's in the genetics.
can't you hear it? Like I've been listening for it.
I feel like it's definitely it's a very unique and individuated.
Amino acid sequence? What are you feeling? I know.
I'm
Welcome
hearing
to
DNA and RNA. DNA and RNA sequencing. So it is contingent upon the level of pristine supernaturalism, meaning all things in their most pure, pristine, organic, natural state that a being is willing to embrace in their experience from all directions. And some people resist that for whatever reason in different areas, and so it determines the evolution of their genetics.
Wow.
It's a commitment to purity is really, and to self-trust. I mean, I think that through all the experiences that every single one, it just taught me how to trust myself more. Trust yourself. And so that's what my leadership is always, obviously, everything's focalized around cosmic law. And then from there, it's always driving the individual back into themselves, to listen to themselves, to trust themselves, to open the field for what's possible when we are in synchrony with ourselves. Because I think a lot of people are afraid to make that shift because, one, they've always done things a certain way. Society's expressed that things need to be done and accomplished and completed in a certain way. And so there's a level of encodement that has occurred in the being. And so allowing for new synarchy, it's like synarchy with self versus synarchy with society, and not in a bad way. I mean, obviously, clearly, like we love and we want to play and all of that, but it's like, what agreements, who are you agreeing with? What agreements have you made? Have you agreed with the overarching consciousness, or have you agreed with the supreme consciousness? And from that place, allow that to guide you and know that you're sovereign through that connection, that dimension of beingness will always, I mean, you're a free agent in your reality. You're a free sovereign being, a God force that gets to move around and decide what exactly specifically you desire in all moments. But there's a lot of encodements and also attachments and entrainments to, like you were saying, what is it? Synthetic or what is the just things that are not congruent with the individual.
I call it congestion.
What was that?
I always call it congestion. I just call it congestion because it's just, it creates disharmony in the system, right?
Right. It creates disharmony, and we're not allowing for the full flow of what is us to move through us. And there's like a holding on to whatever it is that we're holding on to. So whether that's a paradigm or a belief structure or any kind of a loop, it doesn't really matter what it is, any kind of loop.
And I would say, I think this, you tell me if this is in your experience, like there is, I don't know, I'm going to use the 100th monkey as an example. There is like a momentum also that happens when you've been, and not doing this work, but let's say practicing, choosing, living this life, right? Where it almost, where you reach a tipping point where actually the momentum takes over you.
Yes.
It's you taking over you, and you really are taken along for the ride. And it's amazing because it's fucking psychedelic. And some people, like in the motion, like some people in the beginning, because the personality is like, whoa, I don't feel like I have control. And you're actually, you're in supreme creatorship, and you're having to learn how to synchronize into that. Because, once in my experience, over time, and you don't necessarily experience this in the beginning, but the more you surrender, the more you have self in there, the more more or less you have synthetic, you realize that holding yourself into constriction of patterns that don't serve you becomes self-toxic, right?
Right.
And then it doesn't serve a purpose. And if your commitment is to life, just life itself, right? Then it becomes out of integrity with your own essence, right? And so you become, and this is where it becomes, you know, people like want to have like soul driven businesses. And I was like, if you just live in the principle of life, like real life, sustainability, this will all start happening, because all business is a framework and a container for your divine essence to overflow in and reach other people, right? And so start with the energy and the motion, then give it a beautiful house, and allow that to attract, right, what's meant, what's always, that's the rest of the tourist, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because I actually was looking at the word business, and I mean, I don't.
We need to create a whole new world. It's busyness, which we don't want.
Yes,
Busy
precise.
or nessness. I don't want nessness or busynessness. So like enterprise, but like maybe I like enterprise because it's like
You're
entering
entering
the
the
prize.
prize.
I mean, it's good. I mean, it kind of feels a little bit like, feels vagina-y. I like it a little bit more, but like, you know.
Yeah, it's like a container for divine craftsmanship. I mean, it's a world evocation, a space for world evocation. And there's different ways that we exchange.
Opportunity for exchange.
Well, there's all kinds of exchange that happen. The monetary is such a basic, it's just such a basic, rapid component. The meat and the juice and the nectar is in what is facilitated and experienced and
The
evoked and
relationship.
emerged through the container. Like,
Right.
even for me at this point, it's so fast. You know, like, I don't really go into the realm of marketing. It's just a natural expression of your quintessence. And when your quintessence comes through in its most pure state as an expression of art, however that may be for you uniquely, the quintessence carries the magnetic resonance, and that is what draws people in. There's nothing else that is really required. I mean, the systems are supportive for that quintessence to flow freely, but you can design those based on your own, you know, and that's part of my gift. I mean, I'm here so supporting people with mastering the flow of abundance, trusting and mastering the flow of abundance. And then the other piece of that is how to create divine systems. I'm just
You're a genius at that.
I'm turned on by it. Like, to see the logos, to be imprinted by the logos turns, I'm like, show me to myself, you know, like, keep saturating into my, and I watch it like literally encode itself in my cells all the way to the deepest core level. And I mean, on one level, it's already present and it's always constantly flowing through, but I also feel it, like me receiving different layers of my self blueprint, my oversoul blueprint, like constantly synchronizing into the deep depths and layers of my body. And the more space and the simplicity and the freedom and the spaciousness that I create in my world, the more of that design can anchor into my being and reveal its intelligence to me. And in the intelligence of it, yes, it's dynamic and complex and rich and multifaceted and all of that. But to get to the core, it is such eloquent simplicity to help people, you know, and this is where I've been trying to find the word for what it is that you abracadabra, for what I actually do. It's because that's exactly what it is. It's abracadabra. It's done. It's instant. And so it's like, how do I bring the transmission of instant creation through in the most luxuriant avant-garde, because it's so simple and so pristine and so beautiful and so precise that and it's orgasmic because of that. You know, I've watched people run around like in the high performance realm for years and years and years. Like, this is what you have to do. This is what, you know, to create the, I'm like,
I just imagine, like, when I see that, I just imagine people like running. I'm just like that's just always how it occurs to me. I'm like, okay.
you know, it's interesting. So it's like the difference between,
That's just how
okay.
it occurs for my body. No judgment. No judgment.
No, I mean, I've been in those spaces myself in different ways. I appreciate them. I think they're beautiful spaces. And then you wear yourself out and you're like, okay, this isn't sustainable. What's efficient? What's effective? What's pristine? What is enjoyable? What is orgasmic? Oh, okay, I got that transmission. Thank you. And so then we make those adjustments and those pivots in our reality and allow for that. And it allows us to live more. And so there are a couple of visions that I get. It's like okay, so it's funny because I've seen it presented in so many different ways, like getting in the boat and rowing, like the whole mission thing where it's like, we're all in the boat and we're all rowing. So there's that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, that's highly ineffective and highly inefficient. So I'm not going to row. And then there's the climbing the mountain. There's getting all the gear, like training ourselves to be like Olympic athletes and putting all of the gear in our backpack and going to climb Mount Everest. And now I'm saying, if this turns you on and this excites you and it exhilarates you, then by all means, because I think that that's the whole point of the whole thing. And so
Totally.
but these are just different analogies for ways. And
I've just deeply seen over and over and over and over and over time that longitudinally, I'm talking about over decades, there just comes to a point where your body's going to have to get into a harmonious rhythm, even if even if you're the person that's doing like Ironman and running. It's just like your body, like you've got to understand, if that's the way the divine runs through you, amazing, but you know that. Do you know what I mean?
well,
Then you're no longer high performance. That's just how I'm using God, but you know what I mean? That's just how the divine runs through you at the pace it runs through you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's I had this, it's like exotic, unbridled emergence, but in super symmetrical coherence. And it's whether we're going fast or slow is not, and no matter what we're doing, if we're doing high performance sports for the pure joy of it, but not because we're trying to become better, not because we're trying to become coherent, not because we're trying to become God, but from the space of pure exhilarated well, I'll say compulsion, but like it's the compelling force, like you said, that drives us. And so then there's the other one of, so we climb the mountain, then eventually we're at the top of the mountain. We're like, okay, great, I'm at the top of the mountain now. And then there's the whole getting the plane off the ground. We're on the runway and we're going, and we've got to get that initial and then we're on the even plane. And then I feel like what we do, I feel like we're a spaceship. We're a spaceship and we're just in the diamond infinity omniverse, and we're there and we're holding that pristine field of fully illumined oneness, the super symmetrical symphony of self and all simultaneously, and we're there and we're in it. And the energetic, literally, I mean, it can be viewed this way, but we drop people into it or we suction them up into it, or but regardless, they're just immersed in it, and then all of their full quintessence comes online, and all of these natural, organic, harmonic, supremely enjoyable ways of creating and architecting realities and worlds and life and aesthetics and spaces and experiences comes online from the most pristine, luxuriant space that is available. And the simplicity of it is the orgasm.
I know. And my thing of why I do all this, and like why I also partner with you, because you love the systems and the structures. And it's interesting. I really have, for a lot of I think I was more of a systems, we talked about this. Like, I think I understood systems and structures because basically I love destroying things that aren't true. Like, that's actually one of my favorite things to do. Because it's not about the destruction, because actually in the release of it, it's in the release of what isn't, the emergence happens, right?
Liberation.
Right, that's what it's all about. So to me, what I wait for is that moment when somebody gets it and it's in their cells and you actually can't go back. It's like you get sunk into a field and you can't fall out of it. And that is just like, there's no words. It's like, it's like supra miraculous. It's like,
I love it. Yes.
Like, that's what I live for, because then it's like, I'm like, I didn't do it, but like, I fucking took somebody who like wasn't there and they're like gonna go there forever. Like, forever. Like, that is like that. And then there's all the systems and structures that happens after that and whatever, but it's like that moment of synchronization that like once you're synchronized, yeah, you may like wobble a little bit because you're getting your orientation into this field that you can never leave afterwards. Like once you've recognized it and it's always been waiting for you to get there and you like arrive, it's like you arrive, it's like you sync up to the spaceship. Like that moment is like, it's like watching people enter heaven while being alive. Like that's like the only, like it's so much beyond that, but it's like that's why I do this. Like watching that moment for people is like, there's nothing like that.
No, not at all. It's the most fulfilling, moving thing to possibly experience. It's so funny because there's been so many times that happen. I'm like, I just want to share this, but anything that I write about it is not even going to come close to describing the profound beauty that is unfolding. So I'm just going to saturate in it. And that ends up being, I'll just send it out to the field and
exactly. Like I'm just gonna
I'll just feed the field, that's so much fun.
I'm just gonna fertilize it into the field.
Yeah, instead of interrupting it with something that
and I think it comes that the whole thing of why like we're here and why we have these conversations is like the whole intention of this is that what I know is that the more people that choose to participate with us, right? Because there's you could go into the whole physics of this, but there's just the momentum of coherency working with each other in this super coherent field is like, it becomes a super attractor. It begins to affect things non-locally in a way that we can't even imagine. And it's like, this is such a beautiful experimentation of like God consciousness, you know what I mean? Yes. And that's why we're like these infinity immersions, but like the infinity immersions, like what you have to get, and we get this, but I'm just sharing it, and for those that are watching, like the infinity field, the infinity thing that we landed is this diamond consciousness field. It is there already. Your immersion is like you're just meeting us in a freaking location that's in this fucking field to fucking crack open up, orgasm, receive whatever into this field and play for it for the rest of your life. And invite other people into it, right? That's all that is. And this is, and this exists already. It's already here. And this becomes this whole way where instead of us installing templates, you get to watch the divine design emerge through you directly. And everything works for everybody. Okay.
Yes. A container for maximized generative fertility that over into every luscious diamond facet of our life instantaneously and simultaneously, in the profound evocative power of creation that is inherent within that energetic it literally is awe-striking and is captivating, is wondrous. And I think that the greatest gift of our actual service and ongoing, we've talked about this, some people can land in that field and sustain it, and some people need a few months, a container to really support the privilege of it, and we provide that. And that's, it's just contingent upon the individual. Some people just, they're there. And some people just need a little bit of ongoing support.
And some people even don't need support, but just want to hang out with us, which we
totally. And there's people who are hyper calibrated who are like, yeah, let's just amp and rev the field and play and have fun and build and design and innovate and give the world, our creations. Yeah, it's just whatever the unique experience of the individual is.
And the word I get is like, right, we're can I mention this? I'm going to anyways. It's like we live on one planet, right? We live in this one I won't go into the exact words, but we live on this one planet. We live in this one world. We live in this omniverse of galaxies, but it's like what this field is going to show you in your participation in it, whether you work one-on-one with either one of us, whether you come to an immersion, you're going to get the fertile field of non-localized collaboration.
Mm.
You're gonna get the like eroticness of the divine mind.
Decentralized reality creation.
But it's so true.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about it, right? People have been talking about it, but like we want to give you the direct ability to participate, but not like as an observer, as a like, we're talking to you, we're gonna create this. Oh my God, I had this idea. Amazing, whatever. I thought of this person, let's connect this person, whatever, make it happen there. And then it becomes like both instantaneous and like timeless and like time starts like bending, and that's what I want us to all directly be able to experience. But I think the key part of it is like
the eternal orgasmic pulse of creation.
oh
Just
that's when I do vagina lips, everybody. That's just like
oh my goodness.
I think the most like one of the most important things to say is like it's like, but like in this field you become your diamond.
Yes.
There's no other, like you will become your quintessential self in how your divine design works, and like there's no other person with your blueprint.
Right. And it's just an infinitely expansive creative odyssey from that point, just being sunk into that within your own being. That's the gift of it. That's that. If I have a mission, that is my mission. That is it. It's to return everyone to their own diamond sovereignty. Because from that, all other synchrony unfolds itself. All 100%. Other synergy unfolds itself.
100%. That's why this whole thing about our infinity thing is like the core of it is getting you to your embodied diamond consciousness.
Yes.
Because after that, you're a fucking free agent of spaceship, stardust, abracadabraness. Like,
yeah, it's instant creation is accessed in these higher dimensional realms. I mean, it's I would say that some people say the transmission of instant creation starts to come through in the 5th dimensional portal of the open heart, which yes, it does, but to have it on a continuum is something that I have experienced more in the 10th dimensional realms. It's such a regal, pristine, refined, fluid, orgasmic. It's literally like living in the vision of your dream world, but it's in real life. It's anchored in physicality, and you're experiencing the tangible tacticality of it.
I think we talked about it as like the crowning of your own divinity, of putting like people talk, I want to be the king, I want to be but like crown your own divinity. Like the crowning of your own divinity is an actual geometric configuration.
And it's the highest posture. People talk about that too. Like, what is actual status? What is actual posture? What is actual like upgrading or going to the next level? Or what is our future self? I'm like, just go to the fountainhead of what you are and embody that. Skip all the levels. Let's skip all the identities. Let's skip all of the self-constructed personalities and go directly to the Godhead and take the seat on the throne of our destiny and be that. We all are that. It's not something that is unique to me or you or any. We are that, and that to me that's the purest emanation, expression, personification of what genius is, and it's what we all actually are, and we can just go to the kingdom and experience that here and now. But there's an element of wonder that becomes super miraculous. We start to thrive in the supra miraculous. We start to thrive in the supra wondrous, because that frequency.
Nutrition.
What was that?
It becomes your nutrition.
Yes, it's such oh my goodness, totally, 1,000%. It's like no other. I mean, I am a super, how I am. It's all elemental. It's all natural. This is like any way that I can get nature into my body. I mean, that's all that I will introduce to my body on all levels is nature. In minerals and all of this. And then that greatest sustenance comes from the mana of the heavens itself, and literally knowing how to cycle it through our system. That's the pure way to manifest anything, is to cycle mana.
So I don't know why I just keep getting on. It's like, we're not going to end on this, but I keep like, you're talking about, it's like quantum leap this, take the next step, versus going to like the Godhead and the fountainhead. I think some people are like, wow, that seems so far away. That seems
Wait,
so
hold on. Can I just real quick? I have to, because we're not leaping anywhere. We're not.
No, I know, that's what I'm about to say that.
I know.
No, I know, but I'm about to share that. I'm
okay, go.
I'm like, no, but I'm like, and I wanted to share. I'm like, that's not actually what it is. It's going deeper here. It's going deeper here. It's like going more present here. Like the quintessence of you.
Optimized timeline synchronization, and it's happening here now. It's literally.
I always am like, it's like it's a transfusion of your own essence into you that you cannot reject because it is you. It's like, it's like all these people are like, no, you got to move through the resistance of like whatever.
Or you could just release the resistance.
Right. This is all that we do. It's like, allow it and receive yourself. Allow it and receive yourself. Allow it and receive yourself. And people are like, that it can be that easy. I'm like, yes, it is, because it's you. You're not
receive yourself. Open your legs wide to the cosmos and receive yourself.
Let me start it, baby. I can do that anyways.
That's really what it is. It's like anytime we feel there's, and see, it's a completely, it's a reversal of the magnetic field. We're just open. We're just open to more of what we are. And that openness is what creates the instantaneous landing, phasing in, because I've watched this happen. So for those of you who actually know me on a deep, intimate level, there's only few people who are aware of this element of my being, but we get into we call it supernatural arts, but there's a high level of decodable intelligence and sophistication to the way that this takes place, but things actually phase into, from the etheric planes, this dimensional reality. And I've watched it happen, which is why I have the manifestation codes, because I've seen it visibly with my eyes. So I'm like, oh, that's how this happens. And I write that down and I transmit it, and then I embody that. But we're just phasing things in. We're not porting. We're not really porting anywhere. We're not, because it won't ever really harmonize. We'll have a scattered creation in that way. A lot of people are creating that way. That's what they experience. They'll experience like one, a quantum leap, and they're like, oh, how do I do that again? How do I duplicate that? How do I get back there? So it's like this one-time massive quantum influx that they experienced. And so then they have to learn how to duplicate that and make it sustainable and without using force in any way. And then there's the portation, but with that, you've got to be a pristine surfer. Like, you've got to be a precision surfer if you're going to play that game. You got to be on that wave. You've got to be on the crest, and you've got to be riding it with precision into your next portal of desired manifest reality on a continuum. Because if you even come off of that, you just get undertaken by your own wave. because then you're just open to all of these, because there's doors within doors within doors within portals within possibilities. In this way is being the diamond at this, and these are all beautiful ways to create. None of them is right or wrong, or it's just totally a preference. It's preference. But in this realm, there's a literally, it's just so pristine. It's etheric phasing. I mean, I'm letting the word land for what it actually is still, but it's a phasing of the energetic into this dimensional reality, into this dimensional experience. Because the moment that we conceptualize something or we envision something, it exists on some dimensional plane in some facet of the diamond. And I would say, desire is to experience it in this dimensional facet of the diamond. And so that is the container that we invite people into, is to create that hyper accelerated phase where it just lands in, it collapses into this physicalized dimension of experience, so that it can be experience now.
Absolutely. And in some regards, that is some of the,
This
there
is
is no
abracadabra.
masculine, there is no masculine and feminine because it's so instant, but there is some of that, like the so here's how it always, so the next time we do this, I'll talk about like my 9-month rebirth into a diamond and where that happened and what that looked like, because it really happened in a specific place, and I knew that this was a recalibration that was happening, and it didn't just like happen out of nowhere. I was very aware of the process, but it was like really, it's like really, my image is like really sitting on the throne of your own being and imagine like one of the biggest thing I think about diamond is everything becomes radial.
Yes.
Everything is radial. So you can imagine anything you want, like a big
Yes.
supermarket around you, and then you're pulling in what you want. So
Right.
it's more about designing in your mind what it is really that you want and taking the time to figure it out. And you don't even have to actually like pull something into the physical to figure it out. Like once you get really precise, you can imagine it, and then you can really architect it in the non-physical, and it's very physical to you. And then when you kind of like orchestrate it, then you can like boom, pop it into the physical.
Yes.
And sometimes before then you choose popping things into the physical. That's why people talk about being like refining your manifestation, right? So people will pop things into the physical and they'll be like, oh, that's kind of what I wanted, but I want something more refined.
High definition creation. Yes.
Right. I personally, one of the things that, just how naturally I am, and we both have different ways and different natural things of how we do. It's like, I'm really like, I do a lot of things in the non-physical, and once I really architect it, I wait and I go, boom, and then almost really what I want pops into the physical, because I'm enjoying it in the non-physical as if it's there,
right,
on an every moment by moment basis. Like I'm in that world already.
Yes.
And I'm like and I'm enjoying it, and my cells experience it like it's here and it's whatever. And then when I attune to the match, which takes as long as it takes, sometimes it's instantaneous or whatever, and it's also a function of, do I want it to take a while? Because sometimes I really enjoy the dance of the non-physical and I don't want it in my physical experience. Like sometimes, I'm wanting to run 3 concurrent like manifestations. Like, this is when then you start being able to enjoy, and this is like a little, it's not more advanced, but it's just like, like, okay, I'm doing this in the physical, right? But like there's a diamond aspect of me, and like, but I'm also enjoying this in the metaphysical, right? Yes. And so like, which am I choosing to like physicalize, right? This is a whole very interesting aspect of when you get into relationships and being able to do this as well. But we'll do a whole separate retreat for that, or a container like that. You know how to operate this way as well, right? Because, it's all aspects of you, but like you're able to
ionic visionary saturation. It's like you're living in the ionic saturation of the vision in the here and now, and that unto itself is so pleasurable.
Completely. And yeah, I mean, this is what we talk about as part of architecting reality, or synchronous world creation, or
whatever we're gonna land,
or whatever other words.
Abracadabra, because it's just abracadabra. It's what it is. It's abracadabra. I don't need to like bring any type of logistical, but it's interesting because in the field, like we're the diamond of the now, and we're all that is, and we're expanded out into that field. So some of the ways that I've visioned this, just to give some more representations for people to access it within their own being. So I've seen it as the diamond. I've also seen it as a disco ball with all the refractive mirrors, and then also the quantum mind. So I see it as neural networks. I just see the whole mind of the infinite self, and it's constantly, it goes through its own stages of expansion, and then it's in that infinite pulsing, resonant evolutionary field and expression of itself. And seeing the whole design of that and what we are, but it's being focalized at the center of that. So when I'm creating, and this is why I love, this is my Gemini aspect, like I love the visionary, psychic, intellectual, because it's so far beyond this brain. It's the brain. It's the quantum mind. It is the ever expansive, infinite neural network playing field, and I can see it with my vision. So and that's where it's like the star sorcery, because it's all constellations of mind, and I get to mind map, and I get to create and invent and carve new neural networks and create new portals of invention. And that's like that space of, and it's all here now, and we just get to select. We don't have to, I mean, we're not, it's so fun, like, we're not ever really hopping anywhere or porting, although it might appear that we're doing that. I suppose we could put that verbiage on it, and some, you know, like some part of our consciousness is porting to
Right.
somewhere else, but our actual being isn't, you know, where our mind might be porting, or our, you know, but when we're in super symmetrical coherence, we're not really, because we're still, and that's another way of describing multidimensionality as well, because we're the diamond of the self, but we're also seeing and expanded into all the multidimensional diamond facets simultaneously. And it's such a coherent clarity field. It's that diamond clarity, because we can see it all happening. It's omnipresence.
Yeah.
And being open into it and available for, it's just that to me, there's so much satisfaction and thrill in just that, and just immersing in that, and so much splendor just pops into my reality just because I'm saturating in that field, you know, because I'm doing anything else. Although, you know, it's such a dynamic, it's dynamic, you know, there's no other way to really just a dynamic energetic unfoldment. We play in all the ways. There's not anything that is excluded from our creative process. So sometimes we're like hyper synthesizing things into systems, and that feels fun and orgasmic, and sometimes we're just luxuriating in the nectar of gods, and that's ultra satisfying. And so, you know, it's just the way that it comes through is so unique unto the moment and what our being actually wants. But the ultimate liberation is that we are the sovereign diamond, and we literally are living only in harmonic accord with our own being in all moments,
Yeah.
whatever that looks
And there's
like.
a divine intelligence running through it that ensures the fulfillment of all the desires that come through it. Like
That, you know, and that has been an evocation of mine. You know, there's a moment, all I want to feel is the ecstasy of appreciation, the ecstasy of accord, and the ecstasy of alignment to my own super sensory, highest level, psychic, pristine, intuitive guidance in all moments. And I just let it move me and show me and guide me. And it's, even if, you know, there have been moments where I'm like, is that, and then it's like in such perfect symmetry, and I see why, like how all the constellations and the dots on the map connect. And so it's just even a joy to witness the intelligence of the intelligence
right.
through me. Yeah. I'm like, wow, you're brilliant. Like I say it to my creation on so often, I'm like, you are freaking brilliant. Like to just see the ways that it works, and to watch the dots connect and harmonize.
And
And
there's such a delight in that, right?
yeah, it's
It's like
gorgeous.
we talked about this. It's like the all knowing and the like, and still the capacity to be delighted and have wonder in it. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Sometimes I just, I'm like, you surprise me. Like, bring me something, you know, like create something. And to watch it do its thing is so stunning and
Oh,
captivating to me.
I
I'm
know.
like, and it's so
Like
reaffirming.
watching a sexy man do a bench press. Like that's just like I get very tangible. It's like it just feels like that sometimes. I'm like, oh God, like that's amazing.
Totally. And it's affirmative too, of like the knowing that it's all beautiful and it's all perfect right here, right now, always, in all moments. And
And we can never fall out of the universe.
no.
I know, but I just like I wanted to like wrap it back into that because I think that like, you know, we
Mm-hmm.
went really deep into, you know, the living in this world that we both have. And
It's like
you
the
know, I don't
thrill of the expansion into the, I mean, the exhilaration of opening into more and more of what we are, but we can't fall out. We can only become more.
exactly. And I think both of our highest desires is like, well, I know one of my highest desires, like I just want to experience more and more people that live from this space co-creating together and what becomes possible, like that
That's always been my greatest desire, like in
I know
anything.
that's all what this is about.
Yes.
And there and the command to the field that I think we both have, and therein all each person's deepest desires, joys, fantasies, aspirations come true. Like every inside of that, everybody is provided for above and beyond what they even can imagine. Like that is what this field is. That
Oh
is
yeah.
creation.
Yes.
And to be not even if we become an example, but not because we want to become an example. It just becomes an example for something.
It's just because we allow what we all are to move through us.
Exactly, right? We're not trying to something to something. It because this is like it's like an it comes from wonder. A lot of
Yes.
it comes from wonder and curiosity and exploration, and wonder allows from like, oh, what else is possible?
It's like there's ecstatic moments where we experience our own divinity through a manifestation or through a creation or through lovemaking or whatever it is. But to live that through in every now, that's what this is. This is what this is an invitation to experience yourself on a continuum. And that is what our mastery is.
Oh.
And it's not because we are anything that all of us are not. It is because we have allowed for it. We have allowed for that which we all are to weave its way through the entirety of our vessel and to take up.
So turned on by ourselves.
Right. It's like it's the well, it's whatever. It's transpersonal. That's it.
Totally.
And ultimately fulfilling because of its transpersonality.
Oh my God, as you were invoking all that, there's so much rain coming in, which is like my ocean. Wet, dripping wet.
It's the only way to be free, truly, is to create, to be what we really are, by opening into what we really are and to release that which we are not. And we've just been I've been so devoted to that. I'm like, whatever I'm attached to, whatever I'm holding on to, whatever I'm trying to from my drop.
Right.
I love you, drop. I love you. I love you. I love you. And you're a part of this whole thing. And I am going to saturate you in the pristine intelligence of my genius and let you be taken into rapturous accord with what you truly are. Some people call that death and I call that birth.
Show me my ocean.
Right. It's like it's just so far beyond. And it's fulfilling because in that we actually get filled with what we're trying to be. And this is why, this transmission is so different from so much of the horizontal trans, because there's no trying to be it. There's an allowance. It's a constant allowance and an emergence. It's happening simultaneously. It's simultaneity. I think that I don't even remember but it's the Vesica Pisces, but it's when the Vesica Pisces becomes one Orphic field.
You know me with my Vesica Pisces. I have a thing with the Vesica Pisces. I believe the Vesica Pisces eventually becomes like collapse in on itself, becomes a 0 point and becomes a toroidal field of supersonic explosion of stardust,
Yes. That's exactly what it is. And so it's like any way that we try to segment out, and this is the calibration that has been unfolding in my being, is what was revealed to me is on the omni mind. And this is a very real evolutionary. So it's when the actual left and the right hemispheres of the brain merge together to one, and it's harmonized through the pituitary and the pineal gland. And it's just a thing that I'm witnessing happening, but it's the evolution of our species. This is where we're going. So there's no more toggle between masculine, feminine, electric, magnetic. It's one living, active, dynamic, creative force and intelligence is occurring
Oh, I can't wait till you get what you're gonna call that.
I know, I'm kind of waiting for it to land too, but at the same time, I feel like, well, because it's still
harmonizing.
yeah, it's still harmonizing, and it's so ineffable that, like, can I even release a need for it to have a name?
Oh, you
I mean,
don't need
I'm
it.
turned
It
on
has
by
a name. It
words.
has a name. You don't even have to worry about it. You're just listening for if it comes through,
I
right?
love words. I love language. I love the way that it speaks to me. Language turns me on.
I know.
Especially the language of the logos.
Language is your lover.
Well, the language of genius is my lover.
Silence serenades me. Just like
The language of epiphany, the language of genius, the language of nectar, the language of omni-intelligence. Because it releases us from the ways in which we torture ourselves through division in any way. And it does away with all of those paradigms entirely. And it liberates us fully and completely on all levels. And it's certainly an allowance and a cultivation, like you were saying, to saturate in the diamond field and to become that. It's the same thing with the omni intelligence, for us to evolve our brain and our connection so that we are constantly connected. There's a saturation in the diamond omni intelligent field that creates that evolutionary leap in our own being.
I'm literally sitting back in a lounge chair, in a sage lounge chair, like all the time, like a version of me, all the time, like just chilling.
Well, at some point it becomes, and this is what it was shown to me, so in the third eye, seeing it as a diamond, a rotating diamond that's got its sensors going out into the entire field, we're just designing psychically. I know, but that's what I'm saying, that's the ease of it. That's how sophisticated our being is.
I know. We don't
So
need
all of this other nonsense.
We are the goddamn precision laser printers. I mean, we can have laser printers, but you know what I mean? It's like we are divine design and innate technology in such an amazing way. And when we are able to not talk about ourselves as it, and I think that's what we always, like, we're intending in these soirees to invoke the field of those that are listening to saturate into what we're speaking to. So you and I are speaking to the field that are between us to saturate people a lot of times. But like, the experience that we want to give of people who, when they work with us or when they're in the thing, is like when you exist in a moment by moment, like you live in the living technology awareness, like there's never a non-moment of non-awareness. The fact that your life changes is not like even like, you can't even, there's no word to put into thing. It's like people are like always talk about being woke. I'm like, no, you actually, there's not even a word. It's like,
that's hilarious.
It's like you're actually it, and you're never non it, and you're able to observe it, but you're like it. You're not like waiting for this one day to become it or searching for it. Like you get that you are it and directly participating in it. And in some regards, like this is a very old way of viewing about it, but I feel like I kind of want to like land you back into like planet Earth a little bit, but like, it's like that's the end of victim consciousness, is when you get that there is no other.
Yes, and it's all you all the time, and it's total freedom, and it's all, the only presence acting is the I am presence, and you get that, and you know that, and you're in that, and you are that, and you're saturated, and that's the pristineness of the diamond consciousness that we're speaking into precisely. And it's such a lush, it's heaven on earth. And the beauty of that is that we're now in this reality that has so much depth and beauty and dimension and lightness and pristineness and wonder to it, all occurring simultaneously. And we're in this omni field of that intelligence as we're living in this reality. It's true paradise on earth, but it's such a sophisticated level. And you know, and to even try to explain, it's an ethereal, the living intelligence is active everywhere simultaneously in our experience, and we're living that in connection to everything within and around us at all times, because we are there's no separation between me and anything physical in my world. It's this constant sensuous dance as that moment, and change is that's all there is, but it's beauty. It's pure beauty.
Right.
You know, and it really, for me, it feels more like a dance, because I'm
The rhythm.
Yeah, it's rhythmic play, it's rhythmic dance, it's rhythmic creation, it's rhythmic lovemaking, it's rhythmic whatever we want it to be.
I feel like we're closing on that. Not that anything ever closes, but
so beautiful.
So I feel like wherever we post this, there'll be a link below to like all the things, and if you want to participate in them in whatever way you're called.
Yes, please. It's going to be fun. I mean, it's just going to be pure creation. And I feel like there's maybe one thing else that wanted to come through. Let me see what it was. Oh gosh, I close my eyes and I just see the diamonds like pulsing. Unified field.
I get living gnosis. Is there anything you want to say about that?
Yes, I love you. That's what it is. It's being the living gnosis. There's something when you're speaking into.
It's about gnosis. I don't know what it is. It's about direct knowing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the greatest imitation of this container, is that's what actually gets catalyzed, is direct experiential gnosis.
Which we're showing you, right? Which on a small level, we're showing you exactly right now of how we speak to each other. It sounds it looks very obvious, but it's like we are actually communicating in a way that you're not. You're seeing what you're not seeing.
That's what it is. That's what I wanted to just like, what I'm waiting for, it's like the language to drop in, but I'm like, as it synchronizes more deeply, and it always comes through my womb, it's like, I'm waiting for it to reveal the language of it. So I'm like on the edge of curiosity, where I'm just like,
it feels like
what is it?
Baby alien that's like, I do not want to speak English.
Well, it's totally light language. It was so funny. I tried to work with a copywriter, and she's like, the only thing that I can get is light language, like when I tune into your field. And I'm like, well, because that's all there is. It's right. Technological. It's, it is what it is, light language. But and that's where sometimes I'm like, how do I even but so it's like waiting for its trend to reveal, and it's so fun. It's it's like being in a dance with my lover, and I'm like, what is it? Like, oh, I can't wait to taste it. And that's how much of creation reveal, and so it's also being with the sensuality of that and the orgasm of that, because I think a lot of times, and we can relate this back to business, people are trying to like force the orgasm or force the like trying to be better or do better.
I can feel the cervix of it right now.
Yeah, I'm like, oh no, darling, just let yourself be pleasured by the cosmos.
Cervical orgasms. Welcome to how businesses are created. Cervical
sustainable.
Cervical
truly lucrative, sustainable. Yeah. And yes, all the things. Yeah, so just being the field of one. I think that so we're gonna drop all of our stuff in the comments for you all to come.
Now that you have two women with like basically in cervical orgasms over the gnosis of the unknown coming through us. I think it's a pretty potent field of magnetism, right?
Oh, it's so juicy and opulent and luxuriant and nourishing and life-giving and vitalizing and invigorating. Like, it's all the things of paradise, and it's all the things of, just imagine your life is an ongoing pulse of like vacation, of eternity, of paradise, of heaven, of you know, whatever your most decadent, luxuriant experience feels like to you. So it's like
Universe's
being,
lover.
oh, it's so good. 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 And to be in the, and so we're inviting you into a luxuriant container of that, in a luxuriant space with just all the amenities are provided on all levels, so that you feel fully loved
Can you
and
feel it? I
nourished
can
and
literally
held and activated the
feel
whole
life
time.
going through my veins. Sorry, it's like literally, it's like if you want to create as God,
Mm,
like in your divine given essence through orgasmic bliss and overflowing opulence
mm,
in congruency with the natural order and overflowing nature of all that is, like where resistance, like what's the word, it's like,
it's like that. I see the stardust,
yeah,
the liquid light intelligence of creation just comes in and diffuses it and harmonizes it to more of itself, so effortlessly, organically, and automatically. Oh, it doesn't even exist. It's such a friction-free field. Mm.
right now I'm like, ugh, my pineal gland is open, like my trans open, my like I'm having like a cervical orgasm. Like if you just want this.
Yeah, and that's a primary way to access it too, is through the purification of the pineal gland, because you just get to see it and experience it for yourself. So, and those are part of the tools that we offer on a very tactical level. Like how does one actually access this in their own being? And it's in a beautiful space at the Mystic Manor in Venice, in the heart of Venice, California. So we'll drop that in. And there's a video on my wall, but I'm going to see if I can get the video in the comments also, so that you can see. You can
Yeah.
see the space.
And for any of those who watch this in the future now time, and there's other ones, link in below or message us. There may be ones in all over the world that we're talking about.
Yes. These are going to be facilitated globally, are being facilitated globally
We're
at
gonna make love
luxuriant
all
spaces.
over the world.
Yes. That's the whole purpose. Mm.
Yeah, we're gonna get you into your body, creating from the Godhead, and then just liquid love creation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, liquid nirvana. Yes. Okay, I love you.
I love you.
Mwah.